This is All Things Ansys, a podcast from the technical support staff at PADT. Episode 60, we talk with Matt Sutton, seasoned Run Ansys from Home veteran, for some tips about doing our jobs from home and news and comments about the world of Ansys. Welcome there. I'm Eric Miller, one of the owners of PADT and your host for this podcast. For those of you who have lost track of time, it is now early April. And yes, March was officially the longest month ever. But let's see what April might have in store for us. It may actually beat March. We hope everyone is safe and healthy, that your kids now have a better idea of what mommy or daddy do all day. When they say the Ansys word, what it means, and that you have taught your pooch to post-process transient runs for you on your laptop while you set up the next set of boundary conditions on your workstation. We're all adapting, right? We're all going to focus on working from home in this podcast, and maybe a couple others as we're going to bring it up because I think it's important. It's been a transition for many of us, even for those of us who usually work from home, having the whole family there and not being able to go out like they plan on doing or travel for business has been a big change. And, one of the side effects, it does seem like people have more time for podcasts. We've had since the beginning over 18,824 downloads, and that's over 59 episodes. That ends up being an average of 319. So if your coworkers have caught up on all their streaming of movies and shows, we finished Ozark last night, recommend that they take a listen to the All Things Ansys podcast. Maybe add that to their repertoire. We'd love to have them join us. And speaking of the Ozarks, and you'll find out why when you listen, we decided that the best thing we'd do to help the Ansys community is to get an old hand at working at home to share some of the experience and wisdom that he's developed over the years. So here's my conversation with PADT's very own Matt Sutton. Hi there and welcome. We are having a discussion with our seasoned work-at-home expert, Mr. Matt Sutton from Arkansas. Why don't you tell us where particularly in Arkansas are you located?
Yeah, so I'm sort of in the north central part of the state and in the Ozark Mountains. So it's a whole area here in terms of lakes, and what we call mountains are not the same as Arizona.
Hills.
Yeah, we're old hills.
Yeah. So we've all been watching Ozark on Netflix. So is it like that there?
Well, I'm sure that there are parts of it that are like that. But
not your neighborhood.
not but it's a great place to visit, I think. And actually, Fayetteville, which is a town in Arkansas where the university is located, is usually voted one of the top 5 places to live in the U.S. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful, just stunningly beautiful. Yeah. And how long have you been working from home?
Almost 3 years now. In fact, it'll be 3 years, I think, next month.
Okay. So Matt moved back to his hometown to deal with some family stuff, and you set up in your basement, correct?
Yeah, initially I did, and now I've moved up upstairs. So we've repurposed an entire room to be my office now. So that actually gives me some windows, which is a wonderful thing to have.
No, see, I'm always envisioning you in the dark dungeon and your wife throwing food down to you twice a day.
Well, that was it for about a year and a half. And then my skin got so pale, I had to get some sunlight.
Well, that's good. So Matt is a simulation engineer. You've been using Ansys for how long now?
Well, I guess it was probably like 98, 99, somewhere in there. That's when I started using it. So however long, I guess 20 years.
20 years, pretty sure. So you're one of the people that's been, work from home, doing simulation, kind of dealing with what the rest of us are dealing with now on a daily basis. So the thing I struggle with the most, and my first question to you is, how do you what's your tricks for, working when it's time to work and not wandering through the house or raiding the kitchen every 5 minutes?
Yeah. So, I mean, that can be a challenge, obviously, but the thing I found that works at least well for me is to try my level best to stay on the schedule each work day. And on top of that, there's to get up and get dressed and, take a shower, get dressed, as if I were going to go into the office. And so I try not to just work in my PJs or less or whatever. I try to actually be wearing clothes. So my motto is, if I'm on a meeting, even if it's not, I'm not sharing video or something, if they could see me, would I be embarrassed? And,
right.
So if I can answer no, I wouldn't be, then I'm bad.
Good shape.
Yeah.
I found that, so my office is upstairs, and so I just try to stay upstairs except for lunch break. And that keeps me definitely more focused. But with simulation, and this is a problem in the office for me as well, is when you kick off a long run, you kind of got nothing to do for a little while, and that's when I tend to wander away, and so I've got to find something else to do on another window, I guess.
Yeah, and I do have a laptop that what I do is I just keep it closed and plugged in on work, and then I'll remote desktop into that.
Okay.
I can do a little bit of stuff while my main computer is running. But the other thing I try to do, in order to just kind of avoid the just getting up and wandering around kind of thing, is to make like small little goals. Like, okay, I'm going to get this Fluent model completely set up. Before I get out of my chair or do anything else, I'm going to get something completely set up, and that'll get me to one task, and then I can move on from there. But it also, also good to get up and walk around a little bit.
Well, yeah, same as in a work in a building office, right? You got to get up and move around a little bit. Your legs are going to fall off. Yeah. Just stay away from the refrigerator. Yeah. So, one of the issues that I think we're all dealing with is bandwidth to some extent. Now, you kind of have a unique setup. We were talking about before we started recording. Why don't you talk about how you deal with VPN, since you're full time at home, and hopefully most of us won't be at home as long as you are. But if you're doing heavy duty simulation, how do we solve that problem?
Yeah. So what I have that's probably different than most people is I do have a hard point VPN box. So it's like a router, but it functions as a VPN. I do just use, like a cable modem with a cable internet service. So that's the size of the pipe that I have available to me. But in terms of what often seems to cause the problem is when the VPN drops out, and having that hard point really sort of mitigates that almost entirely. I mean, I probably count on maybe two hands, I guess, in the 3 years that I've been here, the time I've had to reboot that thing or had some issue with it. So that does make life a lot easier. And then trying to run when I'm doing simulation work, trying to do as much of that locally as I can. And so that's one of the things that we chose to invest in, just because for here, weather can be an issue in terms of
good point.
Like having ice storms in the winter. Sometimes that'll knock the power out for 2 or 3, 4 days. Big thunderstorms and so forth to knock them out. So one thing we invested in was a whole house generator that will kick on if the power goes out. And the reason for that, obviously, is because if I do have these long runs going, we have a UPS just for the computer that can keep it up long enough for the generator to kick on, and then it can on that. So
then keep going.
But again, that's my situation that way is unique in terms of just having to be available for a longer term to work from home. Right.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, because some people don't have we're here in the middle of the desert with our nice little nuclear reactor just chugging away. 80 miles out of town, providing us clean and stable power. But plus, most of our cables are underground, so we just rarely lose power. So you did mention running locally mostly. So, has it changed the way you do simulation? Are you building your models different? Are you in order to get them to run local?
Yeah, yes, I am more cognizant of just the overall size of the model. Because it's not only just so I can have it run locally, but if I do have to run something remotely, well, that means then I got to get the file, or files to the remote machine. Then the really painful thing is I got to get them back when you talk about result files and those kinds of things, if I'm going to try to post-process locally. So I really have to have a compelling reason why a model has to be bigger than what can fit on my machine in order to do that. And so I do try to make the models small enough that they fit locally, and then use my laptop to do as much other stuff as I can do if my machine bogged down for whatever reason. So yeah, that's kind of the mode that I've been in. And a lot of what I've been doing in these last 3 years has been really more on like productivity type tools. So like actually writing software and that kind of thing. So that doesn't require typically as much, simulation horsepower. But there is benefit to thinking through what question am I trying to answer with this model, and can I answer it with a smaller model if possible, and going that way.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's just the reality of it, and we're all kind of. Hopefully, we grabbed our laptop as well as our desktop when people went home. Do you remote desktop in much? I mean, when you do access a machine at work, what tools do you use? Do you just go batch, or do you? You're mostly running on Windows, so.
Yeah, sometimes I'll remote desktop. Certainly, if I'm doing it on Windows, I'll remote desktop, and that tends to work fairly well, especially if it's just like kicking off a run and letting it, just trying to monitor it or something like that. If it's on Windows, on Linux, what I've found to be really helpful for me is that Windows 10 has the Linux subsystem thing. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it has I think they call it WSL, Windows or WLS or something like that. Windows subsystem for Linux, I think is what it is. And so you can actually install that and then have a bash prompt on Windows that has full access to your Windows machine, so you can get to all your files on your Windows. But then it's you can SSH into other machines and do all of that stuff. So that works really pretty well for me for running things, in batch if I have to go over to a remote machine. But I do try to minimize that as much as possible, just because you can never get away from the file transfer, and that's
right. That's the slow bit. Yeah. It ruins the family streaming at night if daddy's downloading a 3 gigabyte results file. Yeah.
And what's funny about that is that the WatchGuard VPN, the Hardpoint VPN, actually puts highest priority on traffic through it. So if I am pulling down a file, literally everything else shuts down. So
it's not just normal; it's extra. Yeah, that's funny. That's so funny. So people are settled in. It's been a week or two, maybe 3 or 4 for some people. What word of advice would you give them to get through the next month or 2 of working from home, doing Ansys?
Yeah. Well, I think the one thing I would have given prior to the reason why they have to be at home now is to make a point to try to have social contact as much as as much as you're comfortable with outside, so that you're not just isolated all the time. And obviously now that with the COVID-19, that's not really as much of a feasible thing to do. This is not maybe the most responsible thing, I guess, to do now. But it's still important, I think, to try to set aside time that, okay, I'm away from work. I'm not going to, go check on that or do whatever. I'm going to take a little bit of time away. I like to go for a walk periodically throughout the day. So if I know that I've got, time between meetings, or I know that for me, what I'll do is I'll try to schedule it around times that I believe that the Tempe office is going to be mostly away. So like noon and in Arizona might be 2:00 for me. So I may go for a walk around 2 and just to get out and, get some fresh air, see something different. But I've also found, this is maybe just for me, but I've also found that routine, much as I can try to keep it, actually helps.
Good.
And so
good advice. Very good advice. All right. Well, we'll let you get back to work because we do have stuff to do. So I do appreciate it's been useful, and I'm going to try and do some of the things you said. And I appreciate your time and sharing your wisdom and your experience. And stay safe, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy the kids and this time together. It'll be a good story. Hopefully everybody will get through this safe, and it'll turn into just an interesting story in our old age, right?
Yeah. I've told my kids that I hope that there'll never be another time like this in their entire life, or they'll have this much, time. But to measure time here, my Fluent run has gone 45 iterations since we talked.
When we measure time in Fluent iterations, yes. That is the life of a simulation engineer, yes. All right, Guy, thank you much, and we'll talk to you soon. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye. Talk to you later.
Everyone handles things differently, and we all have different challenges that we're facing working from home. But aren't you glad we have the technology we have? I mean, it's just been, we switched to Microsoft Teams at the beginning of the year, and it's been a fantastic transition for us. And turns out couldn't have been more timely. Not only can we run on computers around the world, but we can share our desktop with our coworkers, customers, and technical support, and stay in touch with people, both even visually using webcams and this fantastic software that's available out there. We do have 2 webinars coming up to help with this topic of working from home using Ansys. The first is a panel discussion on how to move your test design and analysis home with Ansys software. If you can't get into the lab, how can you use your virtual tools to move your design forward while you're working from home? That's on April 18th. Then on the 22nd, we will talk about how we've been using Ansys Cloud to get extra horsepower. So we talked with Matt about, running on your local machine, running on the machine back in the office. Sometimes neither of those is good enough and you need some extra horsepower, and they've made Ansys Cloud super easy to use. So, and what we're finding is a lot of people thought, I'll just bring my laptop home. I won't be there that long. I don't need my desktop here. It's not cutting it. So we'll share how we use Ansys Cloud to get that extra capacity we need to keep getting our simulations done. And now it's commercial time. So please consider PADT as your Ansys supplier if you're in the southwestern U.S. and for simulation consulting and customization. We are also just as good at additive manufacturing as 3D printing and product development. Give us a try. We love what we do, and our customers tell us that we're very good at it. These times are difficult, and you may be facing some challenges you never expected. PADT is here to help. Just reach out, and let's figure it out together. We have moved most people home. Actually, we've moved everybody home now that runs Ansys, does simulation. And we all offer the same products and services that we've offered before all this happened, including our 3D printing. That's considered an essential business in the state of Arizona, and we are doing medical devices and aerospace work. So do let us know if you need any help with 3D printing. So let's move on to the news side of things, and let's talk about the Ansys stock. Well, I'd rather talk about what happened on February 19th when they almost hit $300 a share. Can we do that instead? It actually does look to be riding this downturn and up and down roller coaster quite well. It's down to $216.20 a share after the close of the market on, I'm recording this on the 3rd, but that was April 2nd. And they hit 235 a couple times over the past month as the market has rallied and then fallen back again. In comparison, the S&P is down 21.9% since January 1st, and Ansys is only down 15.87%, so it's not as bad as it could be. In fact, if you look at the related stocks that we usually look at in comparison with Ansys, they're doing fairly well. Autodesk is down 25.9%, PTC is down 27.2%, Altair has dropped 36.3%, and when you look at those three numbers, 15% is not so bad, and shows the strength of the company and the way that the market looks at it. So that's good news for those of us who use Ansys as well, because it shows it's a healthy company. The only significant news that we've got out there is that Ansys won an IoT award. And I'll just read you the blurb from the press release rather than trying to reword it all. They won the 2020 Industrial Internet of Things Solution of the Year Award. It went to Ansys for its market-leading Ansys Twin Builder, which we've talked about here on the podcast. A complete solution for building, validating, and deploying simulation-based digital twins within a single workflow. Companies across industries leverage Ansys Twin Builder coupled with Ansys physics-based simulation capabilities to empower predictive maintenance and gain critical design insights. And this was awarded by an organization called IoT Breakthrough that looks for, as their name implied, breakthroughs in the Internet of Things. So that was really exciting to see that they're getting recognition for that tool, which is a pretty cool tool. Our news is, and it's good news, is we're here. We're getting work done. Our employees are safe. We've adapted. And honestly, that's the best news we could share. Nothing else, really. Publication-wise, on the Ansys blog, I picked 3 articles, and these are the 3 that I picked. The first one was really fun. It was called The Top 10 Fictional Characters for Engineers. And Sean Wasserman, who works for Ansys, this is personal list, not endorsed by Ansys, picked his 5 or 10 favorite engineers from movies, basically. And I like the list, except I don't agree with number 1. I think he left off the greatest fictional engineer of all time, one that inspired an entire generation of engineers. But he's young and does not understand. Grumble, grumble, grumble. It's his list, so he can live with it. It is really a good read and fun to think about. You know, where would you rank different people? And it might remind you of a few characters you forgot about through the years. On a more serious note, there's an article, a really good article called How Crash Tests Impact the Electronics Industry. So we've been using LS-DYNA for a very long time to model running things into walls and into each other. And that crash simulation is very similar to impact simulation. And in electronics, that's what we care about, is if you drop it or it gets a shock, right? And so it's an article about how that technology transfers over to modeling electronic components and assemblies. And then our first article after the acquisition of the new photonics company is called Integrated Photonics Technology, a model communications and sensors. And it's look at how you use light-based products to get stuff done and how we can simulate it. So it's a good introduction into where photonics fit into things and how simulation can be used. So I found that an interesting thing. Seema, who works for us from San Diego, shared an article called Efficient and Accurate Simulation of Antenna Arrays in HFSS. And it's a really thorough and detailed article. It's really more of a technical paper and just an excellent look at doing these arrays in HFSS to model antennas. And then we also have Ansys Sherlock, a comprehensive electronic reliability tool from our very own Josh Stout. So it's a really good overview of Sherlock and what it's all about and why we get so excited about it when we talk about it. Not in our blog, but on LinkedIn, I published an article called 10 Annoying Things You Should Avoid in Virtual Meetings from Home. So I recommend you go to LinkedIn and search for Eric Miller, PADT, if you're not already linked to me. So just type in Eric space Miller space PADT, and you should find me. And then you could look at my recent posts, and you should see it right there. And I'd be happy to accept your invitation as well while you're there. You can probably also search for the title 10 Annoying Things You Should Avoid in Virtual Meetings. So do check that out. It's actually been a pretty popular article and gotten a lot of comments on it and a lot of good feedback. And there are things that I think are annoying all of us and we're all doing. So we should check it out and fix that. Got some upcoming events here. We've got a webinar, which were the 2 webinars that we talked about earlier. On the 8th, we've got Test Design and Analysis from Home with Ansys Simulation Software. And on the 22nd, we've got Bring Your Simulation Home with Ansys Cloud Solutions. So go to Bright Talk to register for those, or go to the PADT website and go to the events page, and you'll see them there, and you can register there. And as always, you can listen to them live or listen to them recorded. We've got one Ansys event to let you know about, which hopefully you've seen already and you will hear more about as time goes by, and it's called Simulation World. It's an online conference, and we're very excited about it. It's June 10th through 11th. It's free. It's online. If you go to simulation-world.com, you can learn more. So that's simulation-world.com to learn more about this event, and we'll share more as we learn more as well. And they're looking for speakers and all sorts of things, so check out that website, and hope to virtually see you all there. So that's it for this podcast. I want to thank everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to www.padtinc.com/opt-in and spread the word. Don't hesitate to reach out, and of course, stay safe. And finally, all of us simulation engineers who would rather be sitting in front of a computer somewhere, we have permission to stay away from other people. So it's pretty sucky out there, but embrace the positive. Thank you for joining us for the All Things Ansys podcast, episode number 60. As a reminder, this podcast is not affiliated in any way with Ansys, Inc., and the opinions expressed are those of the people on the show only and not of their current or former employers. For more information, visit www.padtinc.com/blog, and please share your thoughts and questions through an email to podcast@padtinc.com. See you next time.